Canyon is well known for producing a huge and varied range of bikes. And in the last year, we've seen a lot of revisions to the range, including a total redesign on the Torque, which is their bike park thrasher. And then over here, of course, there's the Lux 29er XC race bike. And even the all-mountain Spectral has seen some rolling updates, but it has left a little bit of a hole in the range. We've been waiting for a revision on the Strive, which is why Canyon invited me out here to their factory in Koblenz to check it out. This is the brand new Strive. Classic spelling mistake. It's GMBN, boys, you spelt it wrong. I mean, this is Canyon after all. Look, as far as you can see, there are bikes in every single direction. But I'm not interested in these bikes today. It's only about the new Strive. So let's go into this little tech lab and check this out. Now, at a glance, you might think it looks fairly similar to the previous model. Look a little closer though, and you'll see that there are some significant changes. First up, you're going to notice it's rolling on bigger 29-inch wheels. It's intended for racing, and 29-inch wheels tend to work out best for that. Also out back is a revised suspension platform offering more support. And more importantly is the new updated version of the Shapeshifter system, which really is key to the versatility of this bike. We're going to get into that in a minute. For now, let's compare the older geometry and the older system compared to this brand new 2019 model. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Now, of course, this particular one is a top end model, but we'll get to that in a second. So there's obviously, knowing Canyon, there's a lot of different models in a range with a lot of different components out there. But if we compare this directly to the 2018 model and the previous model, which of course was 27.5-inch wheels, that is when you're going to start seeing some of those differences. So of course, this with the bigger wheels is actually running 150 millimeters of travel out back. And when you operate the Shapeshifter system, it turns it to a 135mm travel back end. And that of course naturally steepens up the angles. Now the angles are actually very similar to the previous bike. So it was running a 66-degree head angle previously, and it still is. And it turns to 67.5 when you operate the Shapeshifter system. Now the bikes I've got in front of me here are both size XLs, of course. So this is the older 2018 model with the 27.5-inch wheels and this brand new model. Now look how long the head tube is, or how tall the head tube is on the 27.5-inch model. It kind of has to be that way to keep the geometry correct and keep everything in relation. Now that's 155 millimeters, so that's quite a tall head tube. But look how good it looks on the 29-inch wheel modern version. So that's down to 130mm, so it's far lower up front, and it looks, in my eye certainly, it looks a lot neater. The whole frame looks a lot more in proportion. Now the Canyon designers have worked incredibly hard to neaten everything up. There's not just an overview of a bike, this thing has been redesigned from the ground up. Even the actual rocker linkage here itself is far cleaner, and look at those lines that just follow from the top tube all the way down to the seat stage of the bike. It's a very clean looking bike, especially if you consider that this is a 29er and this is a size XL. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Now there's two different models of carbon fibre available in the 2019 model of the Strive. There's the CF, which is available throughout the range, and there's also the CFR, which is slightly lighter, slightly more high performance build, and that's only available on the top two models, and of which those top two models also have an additional 10mm up front. So as stock it runs 160, 150. On those top two models they're running a whopping 170 fork on there. Now the older 27.5-inch model featured 5 sizes in the range, and they varied from extra small all the way through to extra large. But the new 2019 model only has the 4 sizes: small, medium, large and extra large. Now as explained, previous models are available in carbon and alloy, whereas there's no more aluminium as far as the Strive is concerned. There's only the carbon and the carbon race models. Of course, there's 300 grams difference between them. It's 2,700 grams for the carbon and 2,400 grams for the carbon race. Seat angle remains the same as 73.5 degrees and 75 degrees depending on which mode you're on with the Shapeshifter system. And chainstay length out back is nice and short at 435mm, which equates quite well to the 423 that it had on the previous size. Now the Shapeshifter system of course is the real key to the versatility. of this bike. So this is where the Shapeshifter system is housed. Now the Shapeshifter unit itself is something that's designed by Canyon and manufactured by Fox, so it's very much a collaboration between the two brands. And the way it works effectively is it allows that top shock mount position to move, and by doing so it alters the travel the bike has, it alters the suspension characteristics on the rear end of the bike, and of course it changes the geometry as well. In the standard position, which is the open position, that means it's in downhill mode, it offers 150 millimeters of travel. You've got that 66-degree head angle up top there. And when you flick it into the climbing mode, it extends. Basically, it moves that upper shock mount position, just like this. It raises the bottom bracket, it shortens the travel, it firms the suspension, it feels fantastic. And one of the coolest things about this is it uses a stock shock. It's not like other systems on the market that rely on a specially produced shock. You could fit any shock in here with the correct eye-to-eye measurement. You could even fit a coil shock in there if you wanted to. The point is, this is the bit that does all the work. The shock is just a shock absorber. Now you might be wondering what would happen, for example, if you snap the cable that operates it. Now, nice and simple, you won't be stuck in the uphill mode, you would actually be in the downhill mode. So 66-degree head angle is perfectly usable as an all-round bike. You just won't have that slightly enhanced ride quality that you want for climbing up hills, so there's no bad thing there. Now, the unit is pressurized itself. It has a Schrader valve to the left here, and it runs between 50 and 200 pounds of pressure in there. Now, you can set it up to feel differently in different situations, something I'm going to get into out on the trail shortly, but something that's very cool just to see is a little reference window here, so when you're in the saddle you can see exactly which setting you're in if you choose to look down there. So note, you can see half of it right there. As soon as I click the shifter, everything changes. And when it comes to the remote control itself, that is completely revised and much easier to use, much more intuitive. So this particular version has the RockShox Reverb dropper post remote on here as well, and you simply got 2 buttons to change between the two. But if you want to see what the other one looks like, which has a regular dropper post remote, come and check this out. So over here, and I actually think that this is a slightly cleaner design. So you've got your Shapeshifter font all around the side there. You've got your 2 buttons to engage it into climb mode or into descend mode, and you've got your dropper post remote lever here. So this is for cable operated droppers. This will actually work on both types of dropper posts, whether you've got the cable at the top end or the bottom end, or whether it has a nipple or not. So you can see it accepts the cable nipple in the end here, but there's also a grub screw, so you can actually clamp the end of the cable. So it works on both systems. So very much looking forward to having to go on one of these on one of the posts on one of our own bikes. So you've got the cable route. It goes right down here, down the seat tube and up the down tube here. Very simple and very easy to work out what's going on if you have a good look at it. This is the actual Shapeshifter 2.0 unit. Now look closely here and you'll see what's effectively a small stanchion tube. So this is extended in the uphill position. When you click the shifter and you sit on it, it squashes down and it dramatically changes that upper mounting place of the shock, and that is what's crucial to how this bike performs and how it rides. And I think it's a really neat system. The trouble is, all this talking about the tech stuff and the numbers doesn't really tell me that much, so I think it's about time I hit the trails and actually see how this thing felt. Now, any decent mountain bike needs to have the ability to be able to get you to the top of the hills quickly and as efficiently as possible. But a big old bike like a 150mm travel 29er, well, it's never going to be that much of a joy, but using Shapeshifter means you're effectively riding a 135mm bike. And well, that's the name of the game, isn't it? So in answer to the earlier question, what is it actually like on the trails? Well, I think you can tell the state of me, pretty muddy. Had a wicked time riding it here on the home canyon trails in Koblenz. Now, What do I need to say about the bike? Well, it's quite dramatically different from the previous bike. Of course, you're going to be able to find this out in another video with Neil, but I think the key things for me are the fact that the geometry has changed quite a lot. When I say the geometry, I mean to take into fact it's a longer sizing now, so that's much better for us taller folk. And in fact, I think the medium is very slightly shorter, so it's actually improved for people like Neil and Blake as well, as far as shorter riders go. Now the angles, okay, so it might not be the slackest bike out there, but I think it's completely appropriate for what it's designed for. It feels really agile, but not once does it ever feel out of composure. It's a really comfortable bike to ride. And I've got to say, the Shapeshifter system works really well, and it's much more intuitive to use than the previous system. I mean that in two senses of the word. So obviously the shifter itself is completely different to the previous shifter. The shifter before was almost on top of the bars. It's a bit of a reach to get to it. And also the system works the opposite way around. So it's basically this default setting is actually in the downhill setting. It's much easier to engage it into that mode because you just sit into the bike, and it's very easy to get out the saddle, hit the other button, and you're straight into the climb setting. And it makes such a difference when you're out the saddle, when you're in the saddle. As soon as you point it up, the high BB position, the way the suspension feels, it's just a fantastic option to have on a bike like this. And I think actually the thing I like about it best is the fact there's no funny shock. What I mean by that is a lot of manufacturers get around these sort of issues by speccing very specific shocks that they have built for them. Shapeshifter enables you to use a stock shock of your choice. Obviously this particular one's got a RockShox Super Deluxe with a piggyback on it. It's a fantastic shock. But even without lockout engaged, it climbs really, really well. But you also have the option, thanks to the internal cable route in there, to run a lockout on there, and you could even run a coil shock. So the fact is, you can set this up exactly as you want it to ride. So there you go, that is the brand new 2019 Canyon Strive. Now if you want to find out a little bit more about the bike and how it rides in comparison to the previous model, click down here to check out Neil's video. As always, don't forget to subscribe to GMBN Tech, and if you love Canyon bikes, give us a huge thumbs up.